Hello, I'm Bailey Leisure, and I'm back today with another NBA video. It's once again Sam and Durgish are returning on my channel, as we're once again going to be talking about the NBA, as I'm going to be talking about the NBA free agency and some of the big names that were signed to different teams, and there were a lot of big moves and a lot of... This has got to be, I'd say, one of the most eventful NBA free agencies in the last 10 years. Would you guys agree?
Oh,
definitely.
I mean,
So
I think the best offseason in the league.
definitely. So the first teams I'm going to talk about in this offseason is on the East Coast, and probably the biggest market on the East Coast from a sports standpoint, which is New York. The two teams, the Brooklyn Nets and the New York Knicks, you knew they were going to be names we were going to hear a lot about in the offseason, and they were. New York was obviously hoping for a really, really good offseason after a bad season once again. The Nets were hoping to, emerge as the top team in the New York market, and this is how it turned out. So the Brooklyn Nets were able to get the two top stars there that were targeted. Kevin Durant, despite his Achilles injury, they gave him a max contract, 4 years, $164 million deal. It was likelihood that you were going to get when you got Kevin Durant, you were going to get Kyrie Irving, and they got him as well. They gave him a max contract, I believe, 4 years at $141 million. And then they also signed DeAndre Jordan to a 4-year, $40 million deal. So Brooklyn's looking like, maybe once Kevin Durant gets healthy, they could contend for a championship. The Knicks, meanwhile, it's been just... What would you say about that this offseason? Because we look at it, they were dropped down to the third when it came to the draft lottery. These were the players that they signed. Julius Randle, Bobby Portis, Alfred Payton, Reggie Bullock, Marcus Morris. Just what are your thoughts on the two teams' off seasons?
A huge disappointment for the fans and the organization. I mean, they were expecting. Oh my God, it's just so funny thinking about it. They were expecting to get Durant or Kyrie Irving or even Jimmy Butler. They were expecting to land
or even Anthony Davis.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And Zion, and now this is the result they get. I don't even know about Julius Randle. He's not really he's a good player, but
he'd
be
more of my third or fourth player, not giving. I mean, they didn't really sign him to that much of a big contract. They gave him the most money, obviously, but
it's like a short term. It's not
3 years.
Yeah, it's not like deal. It's not like he's gonna be the star. It's like I don't even know.
I mean, I think Knicks fans were hoping, and I thought they deserved to have an off season that usually the Laker fans boost about, but that just was not the case. I mean, I think we should have seen it when they didn't get not only the first overall pick, but the second overall pick. They dropped down to 3, that this was going to be a really bad offseason for them.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, though, at least they got Marcus Morris, though. But, I mean, to have him as your best player as of now, that's not a really good draft. And to be honest, I wasn't really surprised about it, though, just because of the organization, the front office, how horrible it was managed.
They have easily, next to probably the Phoenix Suns owner, Robert Sarver, James Dolan's probably going to go down as one of the worst owners in NBA history. And I think if this continues for another year or two, it's obviously different what happened to the Clippers. Donald Sterling said racist remarks on tape, but it would, but at the same time, does the NBA finally decide, okay, you know what, we need to stop having these we need to make sure all our franchises in the NBA are run well and have a chance to compete? The Knicks, it doesn't seem like that's the case. So, when do you think the NBA will eventually step in and say, you know what, you need to sell the team, James Dolan?
I don't think so. I just don't think so. No. It's not like he's done anything bad. He's just a horrible owner. But
remember the whole Charles Oakley incident. Charles Oakley, a Knicks legend, and he
still not bad, I guess.
I mean, I don't know.
Still not bad what Donald Sterling did. So.
Oh. Moving over to the West Coast, the biggest market out there, and especially in the basketball landscape, is the Clippers and the Lakers in Los Angeles. These were teams that were once again going to be very aggressive. LA, obviously, when it comes to basketball, the big market in the NBA. The Lakers, I think Laker fans, when they got Anthony Davis, they were thinking, okay, this is the start. We're going to get the super team that we're hoping for. You know, I mean, they didn't get Kyrie Irving. They didn't get Kemba Walker. But you're thinking, okay, Kawhi Leonard, that's the big target, especially after the Kevin Durant injury. And, you know, Kawhi Leonard, it took a little bit of a while after free agency began for him to sign. And sure enough, you know, the Raptors were going at him. The Lakers were. It just seemed like these two teams were. I mean, the Clippers were interested in him, but people didn't think that the Clippers had any shot. The Clippers never get these superstars. It's always LA, because if you want to be a big superstar, you want to go to the Lakers. And so finally on July 5th, on a pretty eventful day in Los Angeles after, you know, the second big earthquake that they had in 24 hours, was the earthquake a sign? It's kind of like when, you know, when a pope, they decide who the next pope is and you have the smoke come out the church. I guess that was when Kawhi Leonard decided to make his decision, was the big earthquake. And he shocked the entire NBA world with signing with the Clippers. I think it was a 3-year deal. But that wasn't even the most shocking part of him signing with the Clippers. It's who they got to get him. Paul George, after signing a 4-year deal with the Oklahoma City Thunder last year, although he had expressed interest in going to Los Angeles, he decided, I'm going to go to LA, but I'm going to go with the Clippers, and I'm going to go join up with Kawhi Leonard. I mean, the Clippers kind of knew they had to make not just get Kawhi, but they needed to give him another superstar to build off of, and sure enough, they did that. So what are your thoughts on the Clippers signing Kawhi and just the shock that it gave the rest of the NBA, especially to the city of Los Angeles and the Lakers?
It's a big thing because, like you said, no one expected Kawhi to go to be a Clipper. It's a big deal. I mean, it's like no one saw it coming. I mean, this changes the landscape. It makes it, because of his decision, makes the NBA more fun to watch and
makes it more wide open.
Yeah. Wide open.
I can't remember the NBA being this wide open in the last decade. I mean, you know, and I gotta say, Kawhi signing there, I feel like we look at some of the you know, the big. We've kind of steered away from the big three era of having 3 superstars. Now it's about having 2 superstars and having depth. And the Clippers, sure, they have that. I think they have good coaching. They're much better ran right now than the Lakers are. You know, they got Patrick Beverley. They have a pretty good bench. They're coming off a surprising season for the Clippers, even though they got eliminated in the first round. They took a healthy Warriors team to 6 games, including beating them twice in the Bay Area. So, you know, the Clippers, I don't think they've ever gotten past the second round in their franchise history. This is looking like it's gearing up to do that. So moving on to the Lakers, so we look at, you know, they didn't get any of the superstars. They basically had to sign the leftovers of free agency. I mean, we look at it. They signed DeMarcus Cousins to a 1-year, $2 million deal. They overpaid for Danny Green, a bench player. They gave him 2 years at $15 million a year. Rajon Rondo on a 2-year deal. Jared Dudley on a 1-year, $2.6 million deal. So, I'd say even with Anthony Davis, they're still a playoff team. Like, just adding him enough will make them a playoff team. But, a lot of people still think with Anthony Davis, I mean, who would you choose? I mean, if it comes to a number 1 right now between Kawhi Leonard and LeBron James, I'm taking Kawhi Leonard. But a number 2, who would you guys take? Paul George or Anthony Davis?
I'll take Paul George.
Really?
Yeah, just because how the NBA the styles these players play is just that it's a shooter's league. Mm-hmm. You gotta have a good 3-point shooter, and also even after when Paul George got his Achilles injury, he didn't really have that much injuries after that. Mm-hmm. Maybe just like one, but whereas Anthony Davis, he's been out for a lot of games though. Yeah. So he's kind of fragile for a big man.
Yeah, I mean, I also think, like, you know, the Clippers, I think, had more depth than the Lakers did. I think people just looked at the names and say, oh, there's one, you know, they have 2 big names. The Clippers don't have these big names. Well, guess what? They have those big names now. So, I mean, you know, I think this is going to be a very interesting, you know, season for both these teams. Would you guys both agree?
Yeah.
Definitely. So, the Thunder trading Paul George away, it definitely brought the question, are should the Thunder rebuild, and they gave that answer pretty quickly, and that answer was a pretty resounding yes. Obviously, they made a couple other trades, which I'll put in the description below, and then the big one, they traded Russell Westbrook, who's been their franchise star, since Kevin Durant left. And fun fact, even though he never played with the Seattle Supersonics, he was the last player that was drafted when they were still technically the Seattle Supersonics. So kind of an end of an era. Considering the big three. Where does Russell Westbrook go? He goes and joins up with his old buddy from the Thunder back in 2012, James Harden, with the Houston Rockets. I got to be honest. I was shocked, and we were talking about this like via text message over. Would the Thunder and the Rockets make like a straight up trade for Chris Paul and Westbrook? Well, they did, but the Thunder got a ton of draft picks for him. Were you guys shocked he went to the Rockets? Because I was thinking, Miami, maybe Philadelphia potentially. I was shocked that he went to Houston. Were you guys shocked as well?
Yeah, it's because more of the fit, because James Harden and Westbrook are like both ball
hogs.
So it's going to be confusing.
I think they'll work well together. They worked well, but at the same time, there's no Kevin Durant.
Now they're like MVP type levels. I don't know if they have big egos, obviously. So I don't know if
it seems like both those players, when they got away from Kevin Durant, they were able to show that they were superstars.
Exactly.
So. I think it will work maybe a little bit better. I think it works a little bit better on the Rockets than the Thunder, because I think they work. I think just looking at paper and just ignoring what's on paper or what's ignoring probably on the court. You think, okay, these two star caliber players. Houston's got some pretty good depth. The Western Conference. It's not all about the Warriors anymore. So maybe they have a chance. And I do think the Rockets are one of the top 5 teams in the Western Conference. And I could see them making a case to go to the NBA Finals. But they could have made the NBA Finals the last 2 years. They should have beaten the Warriors in 2018. They were a better team than the Warriors that year, I think. And they should have took advantage of the injuries against the Warriors last year. So I think, but moving on to that, the Thunder are just, they have Chris Paul as of right now, but I think it's pretty much, the general manager stated it's more than likely he'll never play a uniform or he'll never play a game in a Thunder uniform. They're looking to trade him. So, I've tweeted this before, and I look at the Thunder, I look at all the talent they had for a decade, ever since they moved from Seattle when they were, the Seattle Supersonics. I gotta say this is gonna go down as one of the biggest missed opportunities in sports history, having all that talent at one point and blowing a 3-1 series lead against the Warriors, losing in 5 games to the Miami Heat. I just look at it and say, how do you not win at least one championship with that core you had? Why did it not happen?
I think Sam Presti mismanaged it.
Yeah.
I think it was mismanagement. This is also these moves. How long is it going to be before the Thunder are competitive again? they have a ton of draft picks. How many draft picks they have? Like 16. So it's definitely we're going to be competing in 5 years down the road.
Oh.
But that's not a good thing to tell your fan base that we're going to be good 5 years from now, so don't watch now.
It's like no guarantee they even hit on the players they pick. It's like no one knows if the players they pick will be good.
What if it's dysfunctional to where it translates to ticket sales? Ticket sales go down. I don't think they'll move back to Seattle, but could you see a scenario where that could happen again?
Well, if they botch the Chris Paul trade coming up, I think this could happen though. It all depends on what they do with Chris Paul, because what they need to do is that they need to trade him for another
aren't they eating up Carmelo Anthony's contract still as well?
No,
they buy out. They bought it.
No, They traded him to Atlanta.
Oh, they did.
So they traded his contract to Atlanta.
Yeah, basically.
So, I mean, it's I think it's to be determined what happens with Chris Paul, but I mean, I look at the Rockets look a little bit more competitive, but it's still a question mark. And the Thunder went from in a couple years, being NBA championship contender to full-on rebuild in just a few years. Now we move on to the former kings of the NBA, the Golden State Warriors. So a lot of people with all those injuries were thinking this was the end of the era for them. They're going to go downhill from here. The Warriors I don't think are going to be as strong as they were the last 2 years, obviously with losing Kevin Durant, but they knew they were going to lose him regardless. But they did make some moves. So as they expected, they re-signed him, Klay Thompson, to a 5-year, $190 million deal, which I think he deserved. And I don't think any other team was going to go after. Or I think I don't think he was going to go to any other team. I couldn't see a scenario where he left the Bay Area. They signed Kevon Looney, one of their big man, and a very underrated player for them. Signed him to a 3-year, $15 million deal, which I'd say is a pretty good deal for them. And then, they signed what I did not think he was going to be a target for the Warriors, but D'Angelo Russell to a 4-year, $117 million deal. In order to do this, they had to sacrifice one of their big favorite players in Andre Iguodala as they traded him to the Memphis Grizzlies, if that's correct. I think that's where he went. I think they're trying to buy him out or trade him, I think, currently. So what are your thoughts on the Warriors next season? And obviously, they're not going to be as good as what they once were, especially since the West is so much more loaded. But could the Warriors do they still have a case for? We're still, we've been Western Conference champions for the last 5 years. We can still do it.
I believe so. They still have most of the core. So
still have Steph.
No, not even close. It's a new team. Main core, I guess.
The main core, yeah.
Well,
this is a team that won 73 games without Kevin Durant. They should have won the 2016 finals.
Oh, they should have.
Well, if it wasn't for the Draymond Green suspension and I don't know. You can make
Harrison Barnes.
Yeah, you could also make the case for.
It wasn't that good though.
Well, he's getting.
I'm saying if he was better, they were on.
Oh yeah.
Well, the Sacramento Kings thinks he's a great player considering how much money you're giving him. But still at the maybe they when they got Kevin Durant, they looked at 2015 and said, hey, that Cavs team was really injured. Yeah. And we probably should have lost to them. Although that's up for a later debate. But with the Warriors, I'm really interested to see when Klay Thompson gets back. I think if he can get back, because when he gets back, it's going to take him, I think, at least a month or so to get back in the swing of things. So if he can get back in, I think around the middle of February, I think and he can get it going right before the playoffs start. I think they could be a force to be reckoned with. They still have Curry. I think Draymond Green's become a little bit more overrated over the last couple of years, but he's still a capable player, defensively at least. And D'Angelo Russell. I'm really interested to see how well he's gonna fit on that team.
I think he's gonna be fine fitting on that team. To be honest though, he's gonna have to take the role of Klay Thompson while he's injured. So, but I think that's fine with him because he's an okay shooter though.
Yeah.
And he can play off the ball.
Ever since I think he left the Lakers, he looked at how valuable he was for Brooklyn.
Yeah.
He's him leaving the Lakers really helped him out and got him a good deal. I'm just kind of shocked that the Warriors were the team to get him, considering look at the teams that were targeting him. Minnesota, Indiana was looking at him. The Lakers, the Phoenix Suns, which you look at the Phoenix Suns fan base on Twitter, they were frustrated at that. I'll talk about the Phoenix Suns later. But, kind of a surprise, but I don't think the Warriors, they're not going down without a fight.